The Italian by Gary W. Hixon. Narrated by Stephen Miller. Chapter 1. The world is full of stupid people, is what my father said to me. It was the second sentence, along with telling me that he was dying. What he'd meant by it was that he was pleased not to have long left in the world surrounded by those stupid people. He might have said, "Son, I'm dying, but don't worry about me. I'm more than ready to go." But he didn't say that, because that would have been too undemanding and genteel, and my father was not such a man as to announce something like, "I am dying," without a tinge of spitefulness and arrogance. When he said the first bit, the "I am dying" bit, I recall emitting a stifled whimper. I knew that he'd been unwell for some time, and that my half-sister had given up a great deal of her time and had neglected her normal routine to convey him to one hospital appointment after another. But the revelation that his condition was now beyond repair had actually come as a shock to me. And stifled whimpers are but one of the sounds people make when they've been given a shock. At least I didn't scream out, "Oh, for the love of God, no!" and start crying in front of him. A stifled whimper, or maybe it was a desperately sad sigh, was just about the right reaction to his news. I think I lowered my head and placed my hand on top of his when his reaction came out, but he'd pulled his hand from beneath mine and immediately uttered this follow-up sentence as though my gesture had compelled him to say it. Was his sentiment directed at me? Was I one of the stupid people he'd been referring to? Had he felt compelled to tell me that I was, moments after telling me that he was going to die soon, as though he knew we would not get an opportunity to say it, and could not go peacefully from his life until he had? If that were so, then it was the opposite of what he ought to have said, what most people would expect to hear at such a moment. But then my father was that sort of man. He always did the opposite of what convention dictated was appropriate. He'd spent his whole life upsetting people by giving them the unabridged truth with eloquent but caustic words that were always waiting on the tip of his tongue for their chance to offend. In that sense, my father was a twofold type of man. People either loved him or hated him. His circle loved him. The people at his chess club loved him. My half-sister practically worshipped him. And I'm almost certain that when he told her his news, before he told me, obviously, he wouldn't have followed it up with the "world is full of stupid people," or pulled his hand away so instinctively. It would have been, I'm sure, a tender, lamentable, desperately sad moment for both of them. My half-sister loved him. I hated him. "The world is full of stupid people" seemed to me a very strange thing for an eminent psychiatrist to say, given that those stupid people, deluded people, anxious people, people who were perhaps lost in a fog, lonely people, heartbroken people, people who'd been wired wrongly, people who loved too easily, people who couldn't love at all, people who loved themselves too much, people who got angry at stupid things, people who never got angry at anything and allowed people who did to do stupid things to them. People had allowed my father to make a name for himself. Stupid people had paid for his Edwardian terraced house on a street in the town of Henley-upon-Thames, with its porticoed entrance, beautiful original features, and a garden that almost backed onto perhaps the most famous river in the world. If it wasn't for the allotments which he'd always resented and loathed their attendees for stubbornly blocking his access, and had financed the villa in the Marche, Italy, on the outskirts of Porto Sant'Elipio, which almost had a sea view. La Marche because Tuscany, Umbria, etc., etc., were full of tourists and, you guessed it, stupid people. A villa, incidentally, which my half-sister and her lanky, gormless, bald-too-young husband were never away from, but a place where I was never encouraged, nor ever wanted to go. Come to think of it, my brother-in-law, or half-brother-in-law, or quartered brother-in-law, I was never sure, was probably the stupidest person
Sample complete. Ready to continue?